I'm back with the latest on Agile Conference in Budapest that this year took place on a ship. It was a concert venue turned Unconference Agile Fest. And if you're wondering what an Unconference is, no worries, I'll explain. It's like a conference but without an agenda. Ale is kids friendly too. It's actually friendly for kids and partners that you can bring with you to become more agile. Let me just tell you that my son came back all contento. And before the conference business started, we kicked things off with the day zero full of Kanban workshops. Oh, and get this, some PKTs, Pro Kanban trainers, cooked up a tool to forecast when the conference would actually start, based on the queue of people pitching the sessions. From idea to prototype to live in less than 24 hours. Yeah, you don't see that on a regular conference, do you? I'll explain all about it in a minute. But before we go there, let me just tell you that thanks to the Ale networking, Peter Götz and I decided to join our forces and facilitate an Applying Professional Kanban course in person in Munich. Join us in December to learn about how to apply Kanban in a very cool setting, because the venue is a German brewery. That sounds nice, right? And it will be in December when all the Christmas markets are live already. It will be my first time in Munich. Join us. Link to register in the comments below. And now, let me break it all down to you. Let's go. Hi, I'm Maria and this is the Agile State of Mind. Welcome. So, this has been my second Agile Unconference this year. And yeah, what can I say? I'm hooked. I have seen all those people going to different conferences, but we know they are there, but we never know what really happens there and why it's so cool. That's why I created this series of sessions of videos about the conferences so you can see for yourself if it's something for you. So in the last 2 episodes, we spoke about Agile 2024. It had us all cozy and in the same resort, that the conference and the hotel. And in Ale, we were literally in the same boat, floating and agile. And I think it's great to have those both experiences because they were totally different. Agile 2024 is a conference in a traditional sense when there's an agenda, but there was an extreme open space on Wednesday. So that was the unconference within the conference. And Ale, Agile in Europe, is all about open space, pitching sessions, no agenda. And now let's dive into the unconference magic. Or where is the agenda? The idea is that whatever happens, happens. And it's exactly what should happen. From the moment you step in, you're encouraged to contribute and participate actively. Have you ever wanted to try speaking at a conference but felt nervous about standing on a big stage with bright lights in your face and in front of a crowd? Well, Unconference might be just perfect solution. It's a perfect place to start. It is more relaxed, casual, and usually takes place in smaller rooms, so less intimidating. On the first day at Ale, the organizers encouraged first-time speakers to take the stage and pitch their sessions. And you know what's the cool part in it? It's that you can pitch any session. You can even pitch a question, something you want to learn about, and find people that will come and help you find the answers. An unconference is an event where the participants drive the experience, creating an environment of peer-to-peer learning, collaboration, and creativity. Instead of having this fixed agenda that we know weeks before the conference, the agenda for the day merges in the morning of that day. Everybody can pitch their session with what turns the participants into speakers. After attending several unconferences, or they're also called open spaces, I noticed that a lot of people are still not familiar with the format. So I put together a quick guide that explains what an unconference is, its brief history of it, and why it's worth trying. Subscribe to my Substack, drop a comment, and I send you a PDF with all the details you need. Okay, so now given that there's no agenda, there is a queue to get one because all the participants are standing in a queue to pitch their sessions, right? So thinking about the Kanban philosophy, how do we manage that kind of queue? Naturally, the Pro Kanban trainers, PKTs, couldn't just sit around and let it unfold into a chaos. By the last day, Peter Götz, Daniel Frey, and Pratik Sain had whipped up a probabilistic queue forecasting tool to predict when the sessions would start, or better said, with what probability we will start on time. Later, Peter and Daniel rewrote that tool into a web app. So now you can find it on the GitLab, find it in the description below, and use it on the next open space you will be going to. Isn't that cool? Alright, so now let's go back a little bit and talk about the day zero. I mentioned there were a lot of Pro Kanban workshops, and day zero felt a little bit more like a traditional conference because it had an agenda. At the end of the day, there was one keynote session and the drunk Agile. So the keynote was by Joe Justice, who encouraged a lot of participation from the participants, from the attendees, so it didn't feel like a speech. And afterwards, Colin Johnson and Pratik Sain did the drunk Agile session. So they were sharing whiskey and encouraging us to ask this kind of questions you wouldn't ask sober. But before that, the day was packed with games and interactive workshops all about the flow. Pro Kanban had 2 full tracks for that. You could demystify Kanban with Agnieszka and Benji, or watch José and Dimitrie build bridges between Scrum and Kanban at the same hour. Then Akash and I led a positive distraction session with the Unclutter Your Board workshop. And at the same time, Agnieszka's, there were 3 Polish female Pro Kanban trainers at the same venue, 2 Agnieszkas and I, and the Agnieszkas ran a dice rolling session called Navigating the Uncertainty. Then the participants could build their own Kanban pizzas with Agnieszka and Dimitrie, and Benji and Lorenzo took us on a journey from guessing to data-driven. It's all about the estimations. That was so much fun, and especially that none of them were talks, all of them were interactive workshops. If you would like to learn more about Kanban, join us in December in Munich for in-person Kanban training that will also have a lot of games and interactive workshops so you can apply Kanban just the next day. Apart from that, on the day zero, there were also other tracks. One was a full day track by Charles-Louis and Ida, and they were uncovering the magic of facilitation. Really cool stuff. If you ever have a chance to go and see how Charles-Louis magically facilitates, take your chance and go there. There was also Gabor's session on story exploring and reflection workshop, and the sisters Suzanne and Sylvia help us navigate change. So a lot of fun stuff, as you see. That was the day zero, and then we went to the Unconference, the 3 more days. And in there, as I said, there were the kids and parents. I really loved that idea. And I didn't know about it until almost last minute, and I brought my son. Remember that what I said in the previous video, that Agile is aging, and we haven't really found solutions to that problem. Well, problem solved. We brought our kids with us so they can get fluent in Agile from the start. Ingenious, isn't it? There were talks and activities tailored for them. When you were pitching a session for kids, you got to hold a panda stuffed animal with you. to draw the kids' attention. And then they were pasted on the agenda board. And plus, but that's the coolest stuff was that the last 2 days there were trips sightseeing Budapest. And Akos, my awesome workshop co-facilitator, even took the kids for an adventure through the hills and forests of Budapest. So yeah, we're raising the next generation of Agilists right at the Unconference. And that's all for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the little sneak peek into the Agile Lean Europe Unconference in Budapest. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also check out my Substack, mariachec.substack.com, and where you can find in-depth articles and posts. And see you in the next video. And one last thing. Apparently, all the roads lead to Munich now. So apart from Peter and I running the workshop in December in Munich, next year's Agile in Europe will also take place in Munich. So time to plan trips to Bavaria and join me for more Agile adventures. Bye bye!